Campbell. I've been in the automotive industry since 1993. Wow. So a little bit of a dinosaur.
He was born in 1993, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to go drown myself now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Chicks in Charge. And I am so excited today because I have a great group of automotive industry experts with me today. I have Shannon Everhart with Social Grenade. I have Chris Campbell, Jenna, the Auto Gal Smith with Revved Up Solutions, Bobbie Herron with the Bee's Knees, and Tim Hayden with Brain Trust, and of course, Fred and Lou with Car Guy Coffee. And I'm so excited to bring this topic of discussion to everybody today. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Doing great.
Great. Yeah.
Amazing.
They were like having a whole dance in the beginning.
Well, the guys are at NIADA, so I kind of feel like we have some celebrities on board today because I know they're also super slammed and they're making time for this super last minute show. So Shannon, I'm going to go ahead and go around and have everybody give just a quick snippet of who they are real quick. Shannon, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shannon Everhart. I've been in the automotive industry since 2001. I just said that out loud. Through all the ups and downs, I am a fan of the biz. I have kind of a bit of a soft spot when it comes to BDCs. That's where I've spent a lot of my time consulting different teams and helping build those teams and recruit for those teams. And so I have a big appreciation for how tough that job is. These days, I play in the social media world and love it. The Social Grenade. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Chris, what about you?
Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Campbell. I've been in the automotive industry since 1993. Wow. So a little bit of a dinosaur.
He was born in 1993, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to go drown myself now. I started out in the business actually as a salesperson, but I was prepping cars. And 3 years later, I was a finance manager. I've worked in finance. I was a leasing manager for a very high volume Nissan store in the late 90s. I was a finance director, sales manager, GSM. Most recently, I was a used car manager for the last 4 years at a Toyota dealership in New Jersey, and I'm currently looking for new opportunities.
Awesome. Love it. Jenna.
Hi, Jenna, the Auto Gal Smith here. I'm sitting at the beautiful campus of Northwood University. We are just days away from the Full Tank Automotive Camp. I'm third generation automotive. I have over 2 decades of experience in the industry. I've done everything from, as far as frontline retail to becoming a dealer success consultant. And now I'm a boutique business owner of Revved Up Solutions. And we focus at Revved Up with developing your own brand, coming up with a strategy that's your unique thumbprint, and putting that all over your social media platforms, as well as a 90-day boot camp on how to get comfortable on video.
That's amazing. Love that. Bobbie Herron.
I love it. So I'm going to say this. You can Google me if you want to see my background to know if what I tell you is accurate, because I'm going to take my time instead and say that Jenna did a great job then of explaining what she does now. But as we're talking through this stuff, I think it's important for our viewers to understand why we have the knowledge or why we're going to give these pro tips. Jenna is one of my best friends, but I'm not like biased or anything. But her automotive history is her entire life in every position. So if she gives you feedback on something, I want everybody to understand, like, that is not about owning a Revved Up solution. It's that she actually does this every day and works with Northwood and is doing things. So I'm giving that my time instead. You can Google me if you have a question. Other than that, I've been in every position in a dealership, and I am not always right, but I certainly believe in collaborating and helping, which is why we're on here today.
Thank you, Bobbie. Tim Hayden.
Well, happy to be here and happy to be here with you all as automotive pros as you are. I don't work only in the automotive industry. For the last 25 years, I've been helping companies leverage the web, then social, then mobile, and now where we are today, right? Artificial intelligence, big data management. And that's what we do at Brain Trust, really, is we help folks with master data management, customer data platforms, all of the above, right? But this is why this week is so incredibly important and close to me, is because this isn't going to be a company's fault as much as it is going to be something that was just a small, natural human error that happened somewhere, left a door open, and there's many more attacks that are happening. But bottom line is, I'm the big data guy, and here to talk about how this is just something that we all have to deal with and how we can make sure it doesn't happen again.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Tim. All right, Fred.
Whoa, hey, what's going on?
I'm just
lost in the sauce. What's going on, everyone?
That's right. That's what I expect.
Hey, I'm Fred Lennartz. I'm excited to be here. I'm one half of the Car Guy Coffee podcast and Certified Solutionaries. And, man, I'll tell you it's really neat and which is information-wise, we just had Frank Abagnale, which is really cool. Catch me if you can, man. He talked about data breaches and what happens and why it happens. And man, I'm excited to talk about what's going on. I'm excited to really just get some information and let some people know it's going to be okay. But yet, let's be more proactive about how we can keep this from happening. But really, it's going to come down to what happened in the inside. So I can't wait to talk some more. Excited to be here with all these solutionaries that are in this room right now speaking. This is a great group of people. These are all my friends. So I'm excited to talk about this and have some fun.
Yeah. Wait, I have a question, Lou. How's the whole forgive fly thing go?
Yeah.
What?
Dropping the F-bombs that don't offend the moms? Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly what yeah, okay.
And fly so you can keep growing all the time. And that is the message, folks, that ultimately we want to make sure we get everybody. But I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy, and who we are the most energetic people inside of this industry that are trying to bring the most caffeinated solutions to everybody all over the place and actually brew great conversations like what we're brewing right now, right this minute. We're over here at NIADA having a great time and actually have to stop everything we're doing because the chicks are in charge. And when they say, get up on our show, we got to move mountains.
I'm not going to turn down an invite to these ladies, ever. Always got to say yes when they ask.
But we're excited to be here. Thank you for doing this. And let's go ahead. Let's brew this conversation.
All right. Fred put on his serious business jacket here. Like he's like ready.
He got all.
I got serious because I got serious because this is some serious stuff.
Very Mr. Rogers of you. Very Mr. Rogers.
That's right.
But we're still monkeying around.
Day in the neighborhood.
That's right.
All right, guys. So the point of this show today is because obviously there has been some mass panic. Do what? Me? Didn't we do?
I'm on a delay. You weren't talking when I just said that. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. But before I do that, because I'm going to redo my audio. Before you start, Jess, because nobody ever asks you a question. And I don't want to interrupt the whole time. So I sent you a couple things I want to do. But Jess, would you mind before you start explaining to the audience not only why you're qualified to host this conversation, but what your intention is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So a little bit of a backstory here. I've been in the automotive industry for roughly 8 years now. I started in the social media marketing, and now I am also in with the BDC as well. I have a social media marketing agency as well as an outsourced BDC, and we are in the process of launching our new app called Social Grenade. As if you look at the top of your screen, at Shannon's block there, you'll see she is our rep for Social Grenade. And I am super excited to be here today. I have gotten so many questions about the CDK and E-lead outage right now. And what we're trying to do is bring some positivity around this because we've seen a lot of negativity on social media and we've seen a lot of bashing on social media. So I'll be the first one to say that will not be happening on this show today. This is going to be all about getting back to the basics. How can we prevent this from happening again? And how can we protect ourselves and our dealerships and our customers' privacy if this were to happen again? Because at the end of the day, it is inevitable.
It actually reminds me, I used to do long distance bike riding. Mm-hmm. And I had a coach that would tell us every single week that we would meet for these long, like we would do 10, 15 miles together because we were eventually going to do as a group 100-mile bike ride, which I've done 2 in my lifetime, which is crazy. Wow. But yes, little fun fact about me. But the message every week wasn't if you were going to crash. It was only a matter of time. It was inevitable. So it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. So for example, like we had those clip-in style pedals. He trained us to always clip out, even at just a normal stop on the same foot, because when stuff happens, inevitably, at some point, something's going to happen. You wanted to have like an auto response to get yourself out of your clip, right? So that because it wasn't a matter of if you were going to fall. Every single one of us at some point was going to fall. And I totally did. I remember the day. It was bad. But I was ready for it. I wasn't afraid of it because I was already prepared for it on some level. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. That's what this reminds me of.
I agree so much to that. And Shannon, that's such a good point. It's how we react. It's how we react when we do fall. It's how we react when we do need to get back there. And, I'm going to tell you, data breaches happen every day across this country from big companies. We just don't hear about it. The only reason we're hearing about this is because a lot of dealers got affected and they are just not able to sell cars. And that's something we need to talk about. How did we sell cars when something like this happens, right? Are we really going to be held up to our software, or are we still going to have a process that's going to help people be able to purchase a nice newer vehicle today? And I think, yes, we all have processes. Just because we can't use even if we have no power, I'm still going to find a way to help somebody buy a car. Now, remember the day we used to use 10 keys and we would calculate payments that way using amortization scales and all this stuff? What happened to that skill set? That's something that we need to get back to our basics and learn again. I think that's fun. If you guys need some help on that, reach out to Lou and Fred. We got you. But that being said, it's true. But no, everything's going to be okay. And I love that. We're all going to fall. CDK didn't fall. They just got to stumble. Something happened. Somebody left something open and somebody got in. And those things are going to happen. And no matter what type of business you have, if you have software that has customers' data in it, people are looking for that data and they're trying to get it daily, constantly, all the time. Because on the black market, that information sells for crazy money. So we just got to be a little bit more. How do we get it cleaned up fast? And how do we let people know that this happened? And I think they've done a good job with it so far. I think hey, this is happening. This is what happened. We stopped it. We figured, so I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing that we're talking about it. And I think it's a great thing that they're being transparent about it.
Yeah. And what I think they need to play in all of the showrooms where everybody is waiting to be able to do business because they're kind of just stopped because of this. If you're listening, if you're watching, go to YouTube, go to your Spotify, go ahead and get you some Bob Marley. Go ahead and blast it out and say, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is going to be all right. Make sure that
I actually love that.
I do too.
I actually love that you said that.
It's something we got to make an adjustment for. Let's be real. We got to come up with a plan. They got to fix this. But everything is going to be all right. We understand a lot of these companies. There's a lot of companies that are some big monsters that have to eat a lot. And today they're not eating. They're running a little trim. But forgive Focus Fly, keep growing all the time. But recognize that so often the only way these data breaches ever happen is somebody leaves a window, a door open from the inside.
That's right.
It has to be an inside job to begin with. Right,
or inside accident,
right? And it's happened, right? And nobody's impervious to it. Like Shannon, you were saying, it's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. And what do we do when we do it happen?
Yeah.
But this is
love that you just said that.
Highlight to everybody of what do you do when you don't have your system to work on?
Right.
I actually love that you just said that because it gets the politics out of the way right in the beginning, right? Nobody is on this webinar today trying to defend anybody, trying to excuse any kind of behavior. I will say this from everything I've seen. I'm not standing on a stage all pro CDK. So before I say this and you're like, oh, she'll have CDK, like fucking not true. But I will say this is that I keep seeing posts about like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. I would be grateful that somebody shut down my risk of being held for ransom or my customer data being out at the
Thank you, Bobbie.
Absolutely.
Of a product. I am not agreeing that it should have ever happened. And I'm glad we're getting it out of the way in the beginning because that means the whole next hour can be about what you guys need to do to run your business and workarounds, whether it's because of this or it's because you buy a dealership tomorrow. Right. You're walking in with a new website and all these things and you don't have any stuff set up. That's the whole purpose. So we've acknowledged it. It's the head in the sand, but the intention, guys, and like you guys are going to put whatever you want in the comments and that's up to you guys. But if I'll give you my piece and then I'm updating my audio. So I'll be gone for a minute. If you have time to be on social media bitching about what's broken, right? And before you're like, oh my God, Bobbie, can't believe you said it. I did. And if you don't like it, my number is on the screen. If you have time to be on social media bitching about what's broken, please remember that bitching doesn't solve anything. So if you're going to bitch, and I'll high five you and support you on your bitching because you're not wrong. This is super inconvenient. You better be willing to do some of these workarounds and put the time in so it doesn't actually have a dynamic impact on you or your dealership and stop you from being able to actually do the things that are important every day. That's the purpose.
If you have time
for a solution,
right?
Never. Otherwise,
that's why we are here today, is to offer a solution.
Yeah. I just wanted to make mention.
Love you, Bobbie.
This is a tremendous, no matter how long that we're all doing this, and no matter how big we get and all the new technology that comes out, there's always going to be that reminder that the basics are so important. This is really, I mean, yes, it's a hiccup, but it is a huge opportunity. A positive opportunity for everyone to realize that no matter how much technology that we gain, no matter how far we get, the basics still have to be there. Because again, as I had mentioned to everybody earlier before we went on, what happens if the lights go out?
Yep.
You have to know fundamentally how to do your job, do what's important, before you can really do anything else, because if things are always going to happen no matter what. And this is just, to me, it's a positive reminder that if you don't have that foundation there, you're lost in the weeds. So take this as an opportunity to sharpen and refine your skills and get better at what you do, so that when the switch does get flipped back on, you're that much more efficient.
Exactly.
Now, and I find
you said.
Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead. No, we had a great, sorry, we do have a little delay, don't we?
No, you're okay, Tim. Go ahead. Be quiet.
What I was going to say was what, I don't know if it was Chris who said it earlier, or someone said earlier, this notion we were talking about BDCs specifically is printing out, the appointments even the day before, right? Just so you have them ready to go. The simplest little thing. It's the simplest little doors that have been left open that caused this to happen in the first place. It's actually the simplest little things you can do to be ready for when it happens again, or when it happens to you.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it,
I can add more to that later.
People can store a phone number in their cell, right? Oh, I got my customer's number in my cell. What happens if you drop your cell in water? Then you got to wait to get all that information back. I mean, if you have everything printed out, there is still something to be said. I mean, yes, in this day and age, we do have to safeguard information a little bit better. So we keep that printed information in a safe place. But nothing beats having that information, because what happens if your cell phone? What happens if your battery dies? What happens if you need a new phone? What are you supposed to stop business for the day? This is again, this is just to me, it's a great reminder that the basics still matter.
100%. Like I'm going to say something uncomfortable for everybody, so I'll throw it out in front. And like I said, if I say something to an audience member that offends you, either it was meant for you and you're self-judging yourself, or you're being sensitive, or you need to call me and correct me, and that's fine too. But here's the thing. I have seen 1,000 posts, that kills me, about the CRM stuff, where they're like, and I do not want to minimize this exposure. I do not mean to do that, but I'm going to say something very serious, which is this. If I see one more person that I know doesn't participate in their CRM at all, post some shit like, the sales staff is super frustrated because their CRM isn't working. Remember, I'm talking to a general audience. So if you're a salesperson here, you're like, I am in my CRM, I'm not talking to you. So don't be all like sensitive. Okay. But for the majority of the time, I come in and I don't work for any vendor. Okay. I come in and I set up CRMs, I select CRMs, I set up processes, and I train teams, and then I hold them accountable for it. So with 100% efficiency and expense and investment, I can tell you that I come in and train teams on why they have to use it to actually convince them to use it. I'm watching people post things like, well, I can't do anything today because of my CRM. You don't use the CRM anyways. All of a sudden today it matters. I want everybody in a BDC right now to record that conversation with their salespeople. So next week when your shit works, you can be like, remember this? And if you're not that person and you actually need the pro tips, that's not for you. Okay. But I just throw it out there.
Well, and I found it really
blows my mind.
I found it really interesting today that every time I would see a post, it was, oh, my dealership won't let us leave early today. There's nothing to do. And I'm like, you can tell the age too of some of these people that are posting it, because you're like, and then you see the people that have been in the industry, the veterans that have been in the industry for a long time, and they're saying pen and paper, dude. Like, what do you mean there's nothing to do?
I'm just surprised people weren't like, fucking yes, no CRM, because like I make a living doing these things, and I'm amazed by some of it. But then at the same time, there are we're doing this because there are people out there who actually need the assistance. They actually want to do this. I just don't want people to get lost in the weeds of like, the focus is like, oh, my CRM is down or my whatever is down. Because as to Tim's point or Chris's point, if you bought a dealership tomorrow and you absorb all of the new materials and you have to go in, guess what? You have to do this stuff raw until then. So it's important for you to know how to do it. And nobody expects you to know how. So as we're doing this, if you have a question, ask, or after, put it in the comments. And don't feel like vulnerability is a weakness. Most of the time, one of the common questions we got this morning and all of the things, and I say this like this, not in judgment at all, was like, I can't get any of my leads. The closest I can get is they're going to come in at night. I hate the word leads, so we're going to use it for this, but they're opportunities. But the truth is, if you're working in a giant group or even a smaller group where you have a marketing director and you have a BDC director and you guys are not in tune, and I'm not saying it's your fault, maybe that's just the way it works. Marketing doesn't know how the CRM works and you don't know how marketing works. So how would you possibly know that you can actually call the CRM company or the website company and have your leads rerouted in real time to your email? How would you know that? How would you also know that if you're running an entire BDC, you shouldn't be routing them to your email? Do yourself a favor. Go make a new email account that is for your team right now so it can be tracked.
Yeah.
Have to be routed immediately into there. And whatever process you used yesterday, you still use today. Yeah, Shannon.
I want to add to that. Have it outside that backup email address, outside of your existing email provider right now. Set up a basic Gmail account to have, and right now, add that Gmail account to that seed list because that's going to be a saving grace for you at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because
you already have that, you can also set up the Google Voice number in the voicemails right now. If you're having a phone line issue right now, it'll save you. And if you're not having a phone line issue right now, you'll already have it ready to go for the times you do. When there's a storm outside and your phone's going on, you're like, what do I do? It can reroute to your cell phone. I am not suggesting that anybody in any BDC or sales team ever has the responsibility of something go to their phone. But I will tell you this, if you do, this goes for men and women, but I'm very conscious of young women, is that your cell phone number should not be public to your clients. You know how creepy that can be, right? We all do. You can set up a free Google phone number and a voicemail, and you can even set it up to that email to go to that team. And you know what else is a fun fact for free? You can reroute it to most of your phone systems to multi-ring. It's just a phone call and you're already in there. Yeah. Shannon, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, you know how like they say success leaves clues? Well, setbacks leave clues also.
Absolutely.
So for the ones that aren't affected by this, you know, the ones that don't use those platforms, guess what? If I'm in a store, I'm seeing what's going on. And to touch on what Bobbie said, I'm looking for every catch-all that, you know, because again, for most of us that work in the business, the CRM, when you get a lead on a car, when you get an internet lead on a car, it goes to the CRM.
Yep.
Well, it's got to be fed by an email address.
It is.
So if I'm working at a dealership, and even though I may not be affected, I'm trying to find out what that email address is because I want that redirected, if not to my email, then to someone else's email, so that there are eyes on it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of posts right now that are, thank God I'm not with eLead and thank God I'm not with CDK, but I think that we need to reiterate the fact that this could happen to anybody.
It happens to month every month.
Solutions tomorrow.
It does every Tuesday.
Florida.
And this could be the first domino in a row of dominoes going down. So CRM companies, I mean, we have a great relationship with so many of you, and so many of you are doing some incredible stuff. So here is a solution that should be brewed, is to make sure that there is a work offline feature that you supply your dealers with, whether it's a computer that's going to be able to work right there where they're at, whether they set up a tent or they're working at the actual store, where maybe it's not going to house all of the data that's inside of either the cloud or the databases, but you can input information from a raw piece of paper and do what it is that we once did. And actually, a lot of dealerships are still running in that mode where they're not doing the pad signatures. They're still on the Oki printer, right? Yeah, they're still doing that. We know dealers out there, and right now they're the ones over there like, man, it's they're sipping their tea, they're sipping their coffee, they're chilling because they still kept it pretty simple. But every one of you, CRM companies that hear me right now, create a workaround in the event that this happens, because we always know, even if you're just cut off from the internet, if your cable company shuts down and it's isolated just to your dealership, You don't want your customer coming and saying, I want to buy a car and you cannot sell it to me. What do you mean? Especially with the face of what many salespeople do. Sorry, Mr. Customer, we can't help you today.
No, you're right.
Just being kept here at work, right? Instead of making their social media posts, instead of calling the people that are actually in their phone, right? There's so much more that they could be doing. But CRM companies, you can create a workaround where they can work offline in the event that this happens. So everybody should be putting that inside of the suggestion tank.
I'm going to pause off and update my audio again because I'm still in a delay. But to his point, every single one of you, I work with every single CRM. So if you're like, Bobbie, you're wrong, call me out and teach me, okay? Because I don't know everything. But every single one of your CRMs asks you at onboarding for an ADF XML override for your emails. The problem is a lot of times we don't understand the why, or we're not the ones doing the onboarding. So if you're not an eLeads provider right now and you're with somebody else, I can assure you it's there. And if you don't know how to find it, call me. I'm going to be in Vegas in a couple hours, so you might not get me if you wait too late. But this is very simple. Call your provider right now, whether this is affecting you or not, because I can promise you, and I know you've seen it on social, there are outages all the time, sometimes for real reasons and sometimes not. Sometimes because they're doing updates. Why in the world don't you already have an non-ADF XML thing set up? You know why? Because you don't want your email clouded. So go into, like Shannon said, create an account and just have it sitting there. And it's already there. Every one of them already has it. And they explain that to you at onboarding, but you might not be present for that. So I'm not holding you accountable for knowing that. But if you're not a provider who's affected right now, know that next Tuesday when there's a storm and a heat wave, you might be. So pre-prepare and get it set up. Blue's brilliant. That's exactly right.
And for all the to get out of the dealership early today, it reminds me of a good old idiom that I learned from my restaurant days. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. Now is the time to this time. Get yourself set up right now.
Oh man. I agree. I tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves as a leader at a dealership is at the last hour when I would see salespeople packing their bags up, and I'm like, "We still have an hour of work. What are you doing?" And more importantly, when they were behind their numbers, right? When they weren't even
commission.
And you're like, "Are you really thinking about why are you ready to go home when you have an hour of work left?" Oh, well, there's no customers, no appointments. Well, there's things to do. There is things to do. There's essential duties that we need to do every single day, right? And if we don't do those things,
side duties. Yep.
The problem is that we as an industry have made salespeople, and I'm talking this, on the variable ops side, we made salespeople feel like that the only piece of success they have is when they do a delivery that day.
Right.
When the fact of the matter is that is not what makes you successful. We can all get lucky and do a delivery. The success is the activities that I did today that produced that car deal. And I need to do those every day. And then when I do that, if I've done all those things and at the end of the day, I have that last 30 minutes, then you've earned that 30 minutes. That's the break that you get. You schedule that break, right? But for most of us, we all understand at 6:30, 7:30, whatever time their dealerships are closing, that's when customers are home. Right. When's the best time to call them or reach out?
We have it now.
Or even post a social media post about what you're doing. Everyone's like, I'm going to do it at the beginning of the day. Well, that works too. Or the middle of the day. How about at the end of the day? To let them know that you're
boys are at IDA because they're powered up on get your shit together. You think? We're powered up on it right now. 100%. I love that. That's why I love them.
All right, guys. So let's
where we live. But speaking of that, everybody, we are live at the event right now, and we are going to go ahead and get back.
We do have to go, but we wanted to honor you all, and we want to thank you for the invitation. And
wait, boys, before you go, I know you're famous now, but do you want to share with the audience how they can reach you if they have any questions?
Yep.
That's a great question, Bobbie. I believe everybody.
I'll take that alley-oop. I'll take that alley-oop and I'll dunk it.
Coffee.com. If you want to find out how to take your dealership to the next level, go to CertifiedSolutionaries.com. Schedule a call with us. Let's see what it is that we can do to help you go to the next level. Every level of dealership development we assist with, and we know a whole lot of people in this industry that are grinding out some of the best solutions for all of you.
Amen to that. That's simple. We love you all. Thank you so much.
Before we get off, y'all forget focus.
Okay, let's do it.
Come on, let's do it. On three. 1, 2, 3. Forgive. Focus. Fly. Keep growing. Keep growing.
Bye, boys. Oh my God.
At the very least, you would have an entertaining call with those two guys.
Oh, for sure.
Never boring.
All right.
Always.
Let's get back on track here. Let's get some tips out there. Bobbie, I know that you had collected a few tips before you even started the show. Do you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I definitely will. I'm going to start a little differently than I normally would. I've got lots of BDC, lots of email, all that, but I'm really feeling heavy-hearted for the controllers in the industry who are asking about payroll questions, because I'm seeing it a lot. And I know that like our options are limited in the dealership for people who understand what we do. But for a lot of us, we have external people to reach out to. For the controllers, they really don't. So one of the groups that I'm in is asking a lot of questions about payroll right now. So I'm going to give you a quick idea of, please remember, I'm not a legal attorney, so don't like be holding me legal for law, right? And this isn't normally what I would cover, except I do work with controllers. I have seen a lot of concerns right now about payroll. The payroll system, as far as I know, is still up. No, I don't know. And I'm giving you feedback from multiple dealers, dealer groups, myself, conversations with the OEMs. I don't know that won't change tomorrow. I don't know if it's also because there's not a VPN for that feed, or it was previously owned by another company where these two things don't integrate. But I am seeing a lot of concern about it. So I'm going to give you the 2 pro tips from my clients and what they're doing that they've done to prepare just in case. Okay, so whatever system you're on, I just want to throw it out there. And again, I saw like at least 37 questions about this morning. I don't know if you'll lose your payroll tomorrow or if you won't, but even if your payroll goes down, these are 2 suggestions that are coming from my team that I think are simple and very important. So the first is, I want you today to go in and pull your previous payroll reports for the last couple of weeks at the very least. If I'm you, I'm a little psycho about things, so I might go a couple months, but let's start with the last couple of weeks. What you're doing that for is because if payroll went down tomorrow and you couldn't access the system and you couldn't see people's hours, what you could do is at the very least get an average of what it has been over the last couple of weeks or months, including the tax amounts. So that if you have to write a paper check, you don't have your team waiting on a check. Right. Which will listen to the second point, which is, I don't know how many of you have a lot of checks on hand, but it's not very common anymore. And like, while you might have some, if you think about all the employees in your dealership, you might not have enough to write 2 payrolls. So get with your bank tomorrow, order the extra checks, let them know what's going on. If you are a person who is affected, ask for the extra checks. Checks are like 0.0003 cents a piece. Mm-hmm. So before anybody's like, well, do we spend the money on it? Like, it's $12. Are you kidding me? If you are fighting $12, don't call me for help tomorrow and be like, I'm down. It's $12, okay? And it's a write-off.
You have bigger problems.
You have bigger problems, but download those reports now. And while that seems like something that's really simple, if your payroll system was down, would you know how to pay your detailer? Would you know what your master tech makes? Would you know that what the salesperson on the floor who's been there for 3 weeks, who you don't know, who needs to feed their family next week, would you know what that dollar amount is? And would you be confident in being able to protect your business with your taxes as well? And would you have the ability to do it? Because if not, this is a big concern. You should be able to. As far as I know, that access has not been restricted, but also things are changing daily. And even if this wasn't occurring, they could change again. So I want to give that out. We've got some brilliant people on here when it comes to like leads and marketing, and I'm happy to answer those questions, but I want to make sure that we represent the office is who pays you. Sure. So if you're a person in a dealership right now, I'm going to give you one last thing before I'm called on again, and I'm going to update my audio because it's interrupting again. I really push you in any position in a dealership. I've worked every position in a dealership, and I tell people all the time, your best friends are 3 people. It's your detailer, your finance manager, and your office manager. Whether you believe me or not on that, if you think you're stressed out about a system being down right now, imagine your office staff. Right. They're the ones being held accountable. So be extra kind, show some extra grace, stop by and just be like, hey, is there anything I can do to help? Maybe let them vent for a minute and just understand that this is out of their control as well. And they are equally, as if not more, frustrated than you even believe that you are, because their actual whole job is very difficult to do on paper and things like this, where we actually have the ability to go back and do things on paper. We are spoiled in our ability to use tools and applications. And I'm grateful for that. There's no judgment in that. But let this be a reminder to everyone that every single thing you do in your job can be done without every one of those apps. It's not convenient and we don't want to, but you are not hindered. If I see one more post that's like, I can't do my job at all, I swear to God, I'm going to put a video on there and go, I understand your frustration. I respect it. I come from the dealer world. I'm not just a vendor. I still train and teach in the dealer world every day, all the time. I get your frustration, but it's not out of your control to control what you can. So like, get your behavior together and stop spending 8 hours on social media, pretending like you can't do your job so that you can then next week, when you don't perform to your ability and can't pay for your groceries, so you have something to blame. Right. Because none of that counts.
That's right.
Like, nothing is hindered. Okay.
Can I just say, and I hope that this person does not see this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I saw a post today, and I'm not even joking. You guys are all going to die when I tell you this, with a GoFundMe link from a girl that works at a dealership due to the outage.
No way. No way.
I hope that. I hope that that's not like. I mean, I work with so many dealerships that like there are dealerships I turn down that are like shitty and that will let somebody go like that. If you are an outstanding high performer,
she wasn't fired.
Yeah, like if you're an outstanding high performer who right now is actually worried that you won't be able to pay your bills over this, call me because we need to have two conversations. One is you need to get your shit together and check yourself. And here's the workarounds. The second is if you're not empowered to be able to do that, or you really can't because the dealer group that you work for doesn't care, I'll place you somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a high performer that does that. But whether you feel judged by what I say or not, be brave enough to make the phone call because I will help you just because. But that shit is driving me crazy. No, who right now I'm seeing people make like 4 hours worth of posts on social that are like, I can't do my job. I can't do this. Simmer down. How about instead of bitching and saying like, I can't do my job, this is down. Instead, I want you guys to say this. Right now, this is what I'm experiencing. Does anybody have a workaround that would actually allow me to do my job, still be a high performer, and pay my bills? That's what you should be asking, unless you're a person who wants to just be able to blame things. And I don't mean for the people who are outside of this, where dealers are outside of this. That's not who I'm talking to. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that because you're right. We have.
I would think that the high performers in dealerships have, that are affected by this have pretty much, if they haven't figured out a way around it, or right about to figure out a way around it, because high performers do not allow interruptions disrupt their day.
Right.
So I can tell you years ago, and I had mentioned it before that I had learned how to calculate a lease by hand. Right. Or calculate a finance payment by hand.
Dude, you're a genius. I tried that and I couldn't learn it. I wish
embarrassingly
I tried.
I've forgotten it over the years because I've become lazy. I relied on the computer system. And this reminds me that I need to refresh that.
Who had the calculator? You guys remember the calculators, the little gray GMAC calculators?
100%.
Yes. Can we get those back, please? That'd be great.
Those are like gold. If you can find one, you can make a lot of money selling one.
There's got to be an online tool for that.
There is. We're living in an AI world. Yep. There's nothing you can't do right now to do your job. I promise you.
You can do everything by hand.
But that's the thing, right? Like in the CRM I saw earlier, and I'm going to pause while I do this audio. I swear to God. I'm so passionate about this. I'm so frustrated. I'm not frustrated because I think that people are being like stupid. I'm frustrated that somebody would risk paying their bills next week to just quit.
Right.
I'm frustrated by that. And I understand that some things are out of your control. But can you use that calculator? Yes. But it's 2024. So I'm pretty sure without even trying, I could do a Google search for an AI tool that can run a lease. And I bet you it exists. But Jenna's talking about the old shit where like when I started in finance, I had a customer that wouldn't talk, or a salesperson that wouldn't talk to me for 6 months. And then on the first day he freaking talks to me, the power goes out and I have to run a lease by hand on a typewriter. I've never had more respect for people who can use a typewriter. I know everybody's like, oh, that's easy. No, it's not. I dare you to try it. It's not in my skill set. But there's an AI tool for that now. It's not a permanent solution, but it is available. You have a choice. I also recognize that while you might make the choice, you might not be able to find a solution. My judgment is for those of you who don't try. Not for those of you who don't succeed. And like Chris is right. It's not laziness to get used to a tool that you use.
Right.
It's laziness to decide when that tool doesn't work that you would rather quit than to attempt. That's lazy.
And you don't even mean quit like forever. Just like stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Just stop.
Just like when you think your day is so bad, you're like, oh my God, I everything's going sideways. I can't even like sell a car. I can't make a phone call. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. And if you don't know how, that's okay. How would you know how?
But those are the same people that are saying it's raining out. I'm not going to sell any cars today.
Right.
Do you remember the old desk vlogs? Yeah. We were taught early in the business that we put on old desk vlogs before. This is going to age me because I'm like so old in this business, but I own a technology company, so it's fine. We used to put on that paper, remember? What was the weather out? So we taught our old school people that there was a thing with that.
Correlation, yeah.
Sure, it's going to be other things, but you know what? Here's what I'm going to propose to you before I pause my screen. One last thing, and I'm going to shut up for a minute. I would propose to you that if 15,000 plus dealers across the country are being affected right now by the same tantrum you're having, that means that the only thing you have to do to beat your competitor right now is not even be better than them. It's just fucking try. That's all you have to do right now. You literally just have to do these little steps that are workarounds, and you're going to be ahead of them. Even if you compete with them every day and they have a bigger budget than you, if they have a BDC and you don't, if they have salespeople and you don't, guess what? You just got granted an opportunity while they're having a meltdown over the rain. And I mean this in the nicest way, or like they don't have a tool. You actually have an opportunity to kick their fucking ass right now in all the ways that you can't normally control your budget, everything else. Or you can choose to woe is me. I'm going to play on social media and bitch about what it is and participate in this nonsense during hours where you make your commission. You can do that. Or you could actually like step up and do some workarounds for it and actually kick some ass over the things that you can't normally have control over. This is not a blessing in disguise, and I'm not condoning it in any way, but you get two choices right now: be pissed or be productive.
Right.
That's it. Or your kids don't eat next week. Yep. And guess what? When they don't, and you bitch about it the whole time, and your woe is me, nobody's running to the grocery store for you.
Choose your P, pissed or productive.
Yep.
Pissed or productive, people. It's
Right.
not that hard. It doesn't mean you have to be positive about it, and it doesn't mean that you have to be okay with it. It means you have to give a fuck enough about yourself to do these workarounds, to try it instead of bitching about it. That's the difference between the 1%ers.
Try and fail, but try.
Yeah,
I
just try.
Yeah.
think it's back to never waste a catastrophe. There's learning lessons in every
Yes.
This is an area where I'm involved in a 6-day camp with Northwood University, so it's kind of a passion project of mine. Where I'm here on campus right now, and we have 6 days. We welcome high schoolers in from all over the country, and I'm working with our Camp Champ team, which is our university students, to go through the planning. And you're going to have challenges. You're going to have to be able to pivot, and so it's finding that plan B. It's having the plan B. It's not wasting the catastrophe, because if you're not in this world of mess right now, you need to start having your go bag, having your strategy, having, whatever it is that, is your backup plan. But there's so much that comes down to that this is a relational business. So if you're a salesperson on a sales floor, you need to, be on social media, contacting your customers, go through your phone book and call people in your phone book. Start at the letter A and just call, 5, 10, 15 people a day, ask them how they're doing, and just start the conversation. And you can just say, oh, I'm working at the dealership. We've got, this new piece of inventory in, or, I'm really excited or looking forward to this. Or if it's even your clientele base that you've sold cars to, maybe it's something where you can tell them, that you've got a new car owner clinic coming up, or some type of community event your dealership is involved with. There's something positive down the pipeline that you can share with your audience on social and on the phone. And because we are a relational business, you can go out and prospect. Talk to your dealer, owner, operator about taking a dozen donuts to the local hospital or the attorney's office and take some flyers or something, your business card, and say, I'm just, I'm in the industry. If your vehicle needs service, I know that you guys work long hours. I'd be glad to pick it up for you, bring it back. So there's so many things that you can do to be proactive, like everyone here on the call is suggesting. And so you can take some steps to do some of the things that we don't always take time to do because we're busy contracting a deal. We're busy, taking a car back to detail. So we can go back to those basics and make sure that we're doing them brilliantly and really invest and hone in and plant those seeds. At the end of the day, we're just farmers. That's it.
Right.
We're glorified farmers. We're planting seeds. We're the information, and we're, getting the word out there. Find a community event. Go to your local chamber of commerce and find out when their next event is, and see if you can work an event, bring a car, butterfly the windows, the doors, the trunk, get everything wide open, demo and feature a vehicle, do a walk around,
always something.
Find something else to do with your time. If you can't contract a deal right now, find a way to start building your pipeline up so that way you have a little bit of a nest egg. Speaking of that, Northwood University Full Tank Auto Camp. I am on campus right now, and I do have a 4:00 meeting. So I hope those tips and pointers help. My cell phone number is on the screen. I do help with, getting comfortable with video. If you're looking to send videos, post videos, do anything of that nature, I have a 90-day boot camp. I'd love to help. If you want more tips and pointers in the direction of what do I do during this downtime, text me, call me. My email is jenna@revdupsolutions.com. I'll be glad to help you guys out.
She's so graceful.
She's
been doing this for 30 years under her dad, who was the #1 broker in the country for like 30 years and is insanely old school and new school in this business and does answer the phone at 2 a.m. for no reason.
Only for prayer requests, usually.
And she's nice. Like, it's a whole thing. People feel like you're being dumb.
You chicks in charge. I know your better half, your other half.
She is in Costa Rica right now, living the time of her life.
I know. I wish we had a cardboard cut out of her.
So I appreciate you girls.
I did that one year.
Invite on the call. So great to be with you guys.
Thank you, Jenna.
And be on the lookout for posts about Full Tank. We start on Sunday.
Yay!
Love you. I'll be back on Monday. Call me.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, guys.
All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a few questions that we have had asked to us since we've been on the call. The first one is, how do we address customers? For example, I said I'd call you today and I didn't.
I was going to build off of what Jenna just said. Be transparent. I think that what she was just saying is so smart and so absolutely perfect. This is a relational business. Everybody has a job and everybody has bad days and bad weeks and shit happens at their job just like this. So it actually can be used as a way of relating and getting to connect with your customer. So just like if you, in the same regard, if you're the front of your dealership, that they're chopping up the road, city's doing some road maintenance and it's a pain in the ass to get into your dealership. Go ahead and say that on the phone too. Mm-hmm. Hey, when you get here, you're going to see there's road work being done. Don't let that get the best. Go ahead and just be real about the situation that's really happening. And just that way you're more of a human with that other human too.
People are amazing when they understand that you're real. Like I will tell you, like I teach follow-up and I can't tell you how many times I'm honest with people and I say things like, look, like 500 people text me in a day and it's not that you're not a priority or not important, but you were red dotted and then it went away. And then it was going to be tomorrow. And I'm sorry for that. You would be amazed by how many people understand that. So as a dealer right now, should you come out and say we're experiencing a cyber attack? Absolutely not, for your benefit. What you might want to come out and say, because we don't have enough information for you to answer honestly, is the truth, which is right now our systems are down. And maybe like you, I get 100 texts a day and I meant to call you today, but I had jotted down a note in the system to remind me. And our system is down today. And I'm so sorry that I forgot. It's not that you're not a priority and I apologize. That is the truth. Absolutely. And the truth is honest and people relate to it. And like to Shannon's point, you will be surprised. It's an old adage in our industry. If you haven't heard it, I don't know how you couldn't have. People who were once unhappy with you are a better customer than people who were never unhappy with you when you've solved a problem. You just have to be transparent and honest with them.
Even if you're taking those donuts to some of those local community spots that she was saying, I would use that. Here's the deal. We're out. I would maybe partner up with somebody on the team and just say the two of us are door to door because our system's down and we really want to help as many people as we can every day. So we're using our feet.
And actually, don't you think it's of a benefit, honestly? Because like one of the things I always teach is like, stop trying to pretend like you're perfect and be real, because people are a lot more likely to have conversations with you when they understand you are like Shannon, you are the same person who I would meet in a neighborhood and go to a barbecue with, or who my friend might introduce me to. And now you're a human and not somebody on the other end of the screen I can be mean to. Like, just tell the truth. This is not difficult, but don't try to overcompensate, right? Like, we don't know all the details of everything and you shouldn't be trying to share them for many reasons, but for mostly because you don't know the answer. So don't give one that you don't know.
I think honesty works. Honesty, transparency works in this situation, because you can tell somebody, you show me a person that's never had a challenging or a hard day, and I'll show you a liar. Right. So we've all had challenging days, and people will relate to the fact that, listen, I don't get paid unless I sell you a car. I'm speaking from the sales standpoint, right? I don't get paid until I sell you a car. So the fact that I'm having this difficulty reaching you means that I'm in danger of not paying my bills. So that's a rough day.
Tell the truth.
And I get it that, we need the DMS to complete a delivery, right? We got to print up stuff. We have to print up contract stuff, and you know, with all the new with all the way the contracts are worded out now, it's very hard to handwrite a contract, right, and hope that it sticks and you don't have a legal issue with it. So
now you have to build a relationship again.
How far can you, if you are unable to complete a delivery, you know, print everything out, you can do everything leading up to that point and explain to the customer that, you know, there was an outage, you know, there was a systems are down. It's a problem. They're working on it. We all know that this is not a permanent problem, right? This is a temporary setback.
Right.
Make it real for them though. Say real things like, have you ever experienced a power outage in your house?
Right.
You ever had the laundry
business with people? I think so often we forget that.
It's a good opportunity to be real.
Yes,
on a real level. Is my deal? No.
I can hear on the radio right now a spot, you know, maybe it's only for the next couple of days, but obviously we can pump out radio scripts and get on air real quickly with the systems are down sale.
Yeah.
We can take advantage of it. And you do know when you come in, because our systems are down, you might have to be you might be here an hour longer than you already. I mean, it's already a big deal to get there and spend as much time as you sometimes have to get the deal done. But in the systems are down sale, you know that systems are down and it may not be the perfect experience, but we're going to have fun, damn it.
Right.
And put a positive spin on it, man. Like, our systems are down. We're doing a huge sale today. We got to get our sales guys up and at it and doing something today. So come in and buy, you know, anything. You can spend anything in a positive way.
You know, think about this too, is if you do everything the right way, right, and you put a positive spin on it, and you're writing up deals, and I know you can't deliver the cars, and that's frustrating, but when you do get the opportunity to deliver that car, imagine how busy you're going to be when the switch gets flipped back on, because you're going to be delivering all those cars plus those people that sat at home waiting for the switch to be flipped back on before they even gave you a deposit. They're coming in too.
Yep.
So you're I don't want to say overwhelmed, but you're going to be slammed with business.
No, but you're right. Because like, think about this for a minute. This is something I preach all the time, and it drives me crazy because I come from old school and I specialize in new school. So when I grew up in this industry, and I'm not a dealer kid. Okay. I just started at 18. Okay. So like, save your judgment, which is bullshit, but save it. I was taught during a close, and like, Tim, you'll know this. Like, I was taught during a close that when we close a deal, we slide the paper over and we shut our mouths. Why do I shut our mouths? If I ask somebody currently, normally what they say is because I was told to. We used to teach the why. The why was because we create an objection that isn't there for the customer because we're trying to fill silence. So right now, I want you guys to remember, as you're having to answer questions you don't know or you're uncomfortable with, you don't need to fill the silence. An easy pro tip to this is don't overfill it. If somebody comes in and says to you like, oh, wait, are you guys like a part of this? Or like, are you doing this? An easy response is, we're getting better every day. It's simple. You might think like, well, that doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Are you guys going through one of these cyber attacks? You know, the truth is that's not in my lane. My role is to be able to assist you and help you put a dream in your driveway. Like, what can I do to help you? What I know is everything's getting easier every day. People feed into negative conversations when silence is uncomfortable because negative is easier. So if you feed into that in a conversation, you are inviting it. That does not mean that people aren't going to object with it, but it does mean that you're not setting yourself up for success. If you're trying to be at the dealership for a long time, you don't want this to be like an exposure period. Say to somebody, our systems are down. I forgot to call you. I'm sorry.
That silence is heavier for us than it is actually for the customer. Customers thinking. Customers processing what it seems heavier to us than it is in actuality.
100%, because we're overthinking it and we're not sure what to say when certainty is our jam. Especially if we're really great in sales.
Yeah, we're so afraid to even really look dumb or not have the perfect answer when you're just a human trying to help another human, and you do not have to fill every single void.
Right. So the pro tip is, if you find yourself lost in a conversation, and you can Google this, it's not my opinion, it's psychology, end it with a question and shut your mouth. When you ask a question in a conversation, you just took back control. So if you don't know the answer, just say that, I'm so sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but what are your thoughts? That you'd be inviting their thoughts, but I want you to think about that. Right. If you are a person, because I don't want this part to get missed. I have to jump off pretty soon. I want to stay on, but I'm taking my son for his 21st birthday to Vegas this weekend.
Hey.
Betting company at the Sphere per his request. And in true Gen X fashion, I work too much. So I've agreed to shut my phone off. I don't know if that's a blessing or a disguise during this, but I have to actually pack soon. So I do want to leave you guys with one thing, because I think this conversation is so important. I hope that any of you listening or listening to this on the feedback later do not fear any kind of judgment where you don't call, because we're not talking to the people who don't call.
Yep.
Pick up the phone. Nobody during this call tried to sell you anything. And I can promise you, when Jess started making these calls, it wasn't about that. It was to actually help you. So just reach out. Okay.
Absolutely.
But I do want to leave you guys with this. I am not unrealistic in my intentions that I ran dealerships for a very long time. I have done every role in a dealership. I mean it, every role successfully. I mean, I failed through it to get successful. I have been on the vendor side as a consultant for a while. I still work in every dealership. I only tell you that so you know that, like, I'm not like some person who's like in a back room and is like, oh, I don't know. If you are a person right now who is experiencing what I think that you are, and I hope you guys talk further about it, especially with the BDC stuff, okay? If you don't know how to do any of this, call up Jess, call up Shannon, and ask what your options are, even if it's temporary. Okay, I don't sell their products, so I don't know what the options are, so I'm saying call them. But I do know for a fact that inside of a dealership, most of the departments are very separated from each other. So if you have a marketing department who sets everything up, they did your website, they did everything. Or if you have somebody who like did marketing in 1985 and they worked at a pizza place, another marketing person, same thing. Okay. They have maybe no concept of what you're experiencing in the CRM to pre-solve this for you, where you have no concept or maybe have an idea of kind of what they go through. This would be the time to have the conversation. So if you are not empowered to pick up the phone right now and call your website company and every one of your vendors to get access to their back end, almost all of them have one where you can get your rates live right now. And if your phones are down or you're not sure, can get them. Or if you're like, Bobbie, I don't know who we called on Tuesday. Guess what? They have a log of that. Very few don't. And if you have one who doesn't, we might need to talk about where you need to reevaluate, because it's 2024. But I know that that's not ideal, but it is available to you in real time. If you have the ability to do it, get on the phones right now. Stop relying on other people. Call, say I'm from this dealership, and get this set up. If it is outside of your control, if you're like, well, I would love to do that, but I'm not allowed to, I challenge you to ask if you actually are, or if you assume that you're not. And if you're not, now would be the time to call your marketing department, because we have a tendency as humans to assume that whatever is our priority is a priority for everybody. And if it's not, they're being inconsiderate, but they might just not know. Long lesson I learned a long time ago. You need your leads coming to you immediately right now. You need to be honest with your consumers about why you didn't call back, and you need to get out a notebook. And before you're like, well, I don't care, then don't bitch about it. Get out a fucking notebook. Write it down. Is it ideal? No. But you need to pay your bills next week. So
it's better than nothing.
You have to do what you have to do, man.
You have to do what you have to do right now. And I will say this, like, this is going to sound shitty, but I'm going to say it anyways. And I'm not talking to everybody. So if this offends you, either it's about you, or you need to stop being so sensitive, or it's out of your control, okay? If you are sitting in a dealership right now, in a BDC anywhere, or in a sales department anywhere, and you are allowing an outage from an app to cripple you, you have two choices right now. Be productive or be what?
Pissed off.
Be pissed off or be productive, because at the end of the day, you have to feed your family. You have to pay your light bill. You have to succeed. And if you allow yourself next week to justify a lack in business because of an app, which, by the way, most of you act like you don't appreciate the app at all and don't need it. Like, I don't see everybody out there every day being like, oh my God, this app is so awesome. I love my CRM. Thank fucking God. It goes out. You're like, oh my God,
I need you to.
I charge a fuck ton of money to come convince your team to use your CRM. So trust me when I say to you that I'm not buying your bullshit. If you're in the couple percent, I'm not talking to you. Don't be such a tantrum thrower, or call me and tell me to fuck off. That's fine too. You'll change my mind or I'll change yours. But if you are really handicapped in that, I understand. If you are uncertain about what is coming up, this BDC is strong. They don't pay me. And I have lots of friends in the industry whose products I do not promote. So it's not because I'm their friend. Pick up the phone and get an idea of it. And if you're like, well, I'm not in control of that. Well, you know what? Pick up the phone and be proactive and try to be in control of it and go present it. Because I promise you, the person sitting in that office that owns that dealership, because that's who I work with, they don't always have an answer either. Now is the time for you to be able to do that.
They are shocked to hell and back when somebody actually walks into their dealership with a plan of action.
Absolutely.
They lose their fucking mind because nobody's doing it. And ultimately, every single person, 9 times out of 10 or more, is an entrepreneur inside of that organization. And it is a matter of whether or not you are taking advantage of that amazing.
100%. And unless you are the dealer that, because I could tell you right now, I have hundreds of clients, and I can tell you right now from an I win, you win perspective outside of writing a check, I have actual clients right now that have no phones, that have no DMS, that have nothing right now. And you know what? When they called me, I said, suck it the fuck up and let's figure out a plan. And that's what they're doing. Now, is there some stuff that won't work? Yes. And is there some stuff that is out of their control? Yes. But if you are a dealer who just can't get into your CRM, I'm not minimizing what you're experiencing. I hope that you know that. But in a way, I'm saying you're not the worst off, and there's workarounds. You can get your leads right now. You can get your leads sent right to your email. If you're like, Bobbie, I don't want to use my cell phone and give out my number. Google Voice is free.
Yes.
Okay. You can use a paid service, and there's better options, but it's free. A Gmail is free. You are not handicapped right now unless you choose to be. Right. There are some things outside your control, but by far, if you can't pay for groceries next week, pick up the phone and call me, and I will help you figure it out without any like restrictions, but only until 8 o'clock, because then I have to catch a flight. And then I promised my kid I wouldn't pay attention to the phone. So unless you're them, you're getting through. But I know I feel like I've talked a lot in this, and I normally try to be thoughtful about not like over talking people, but I actually genuinely feel genuinely bad for the people that I'm seeing posting in groups who, whether bitching or not, they actually don't have a solution.
Right.
Don't know what to do. And I just want them to understand that I know that every person on this call, without trying to sell you anything, actually wants to help you. So just pick up the phone. I just want you to know that, like, from controller to service, we work with all that stuff, and you guys do too. Any one of us will give you our expertise on it. That doesn't mean that we're always right. It means you have somebody to collaborate with. And I will always ask you when you call me, do you want me to help you solve your problem, or do you want me to let you throw something?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm good with
listen, I've got tons of free time right now, and I'll get on a call with anybody and try to work out a solution. You know, because I mean, everybody's problem is unique. I know it's the same problem, but each store has a unique challenge, and you know, you're going to see. You know, right now you're going to see the differences in this business between managers and leaders.
Absolutely.
Right. So the managers out there, Bobbie, when you're going to them and they get pissed off, it's because you're basically exposing the fact that they're perfectly comfortable sitting there in neutral, like a hamster on a wheel, just running and moving.
And I'm okay with telling you that, because if you're not
the leaders in this industry right now are out there looking for solutions to this problem. How do we work around it? And you know what? I'm more than happy to get on a call with anybody. This is not me looking for a job. Right. This is just me saying, you know what? This industry has given me so much that I am more than happy to get on a call with somebody and figure out a new way or a different way.
Yeah. I have people on the call who all do the same job. People are out there like, I got a text on the call that said, like, those are your competitors. Why? Because we both offer BDC training, because we both offer CRM training. You know what? No, we're not competitors. We're friends, and we're in this industry. And if anything else, that should show you that we're all on a call today to actually help you. And don't be being
and for anybody that's saying that, Bobbie's the one that called me and said, hey, we need to do this right now. Get as many people as you can to join.
Yeah, I mean,
2 hours ago.
You guys,
it doesn't matter. We have to do this.
Tim Hayden left us before he had to hop off. He left us, I think, a really cool nugget here in the chat, which, I mean, there's some stuff that he left in there that we have touched on, like having their stuff backed up 100% on a daily basis, which is important to be doing it not just occasionally but daily. Gosh, I remember you guys, some of my older friends on it. You guys remember switching the tape at night, like the data backup, the big huge thing.
Yep,
you've done that. So doing it daily, but also the last thing that he said, that he has some other stuff in there, Jess, that you might want to include too before we go off. But the last thing that he said is actually, and I am partial to it, so I admit it. But he said, at the end of the day, social media, just post your phone number and say, call me.
Yes.
We're overthinking this too. Like, just get on social media and say, guys, the systems are down, but I'm here to help. Call me.
Yes. Guys, it's simple as phone numbers are after our name right now on our screen right now. That's not a question they ask you when you log in. That's something that we learn from each other as we go, which is how it should be. But we are taught in this industry that questions equal vulnerability, which equals weakness. And that is not true. So pick up the phone. For the dealers that are watching, excuse this part because I'm going to give you some grace here. For the marketing people, for the BDC people, for the sales people, for the managers that are watching, don't forget that what you're experiencing right now is not important to the person who's owning the store and running it. They're dealing with a different set of issues. If you want these issues solved, you will either bring a solution or you will wait on an answer.
Absolutely.
That's just how it works. And it's not because it's not a priority. It's because there are a different set of issues and obstacles for every single department in going through these things. And it doesn't mean that they're not an priority or not important. So I would hate for somebody to convince themselves that it means it doesn't matter. And I think that happens a lot of the time. This is a huge deal. So I suggest that any of you listening who share this broadcast, because obviously you should, put your questions there. Call privately if you want to. Email privately if you want to. Put your questions there. Be brave enough to know that if you are questioning it, you are not the only one.
Yep.
There are 20 of you who just aren't saying it out loud. So if you're brave enough to be able to ask a question and get an answer to help everybody, do it. And if you're not, that's okay. You're not going to call me and I'm going to go, you weren't brave.
Right.
I'm not going to say that to you unless you hire me. And then I will absolutely say that to you. But I'm going to answer the question for you. And then I hope that you share it because everybody's income and stuff is impacted right now. And whether you're a person who's experiencing this with the CRM or whether you're a VIN customer who at the end of the month, they do an update on a Tuesday and then on a Wednesday and everybody's like, oh, it doesn't ever work at the end of the month on this day. No, it's not every time at the end of the month. It's on this day. If you are concerned about that because you experience it, pick up the phone and call your PM and go, which day is it you guys do the updates? If those updates fail, what's today with the most impact? And be prepared.
Yes.
You can't control as much as you can and control your controllables.
So what is that? The 3 Ps, you can be pissed, prepared, and productive or productive.
Pissed, prepared, or productive. That's good. I was just pissed and productive. I like how you made it 3 now.
I like that. Yeah.
All right, my people. I hope you guys stay on and talk about this. And I'm sorry that I can't stay, but I have 45 minutes to get dressed.
No, you're fine.
I haven't even taken a shower. I did a 36-hour work shift. And I got to go do this with my son. So I have to jam, but I really appreciate that you put it together, Jess. And then I hope that everybody shares their information and does stuff. Chris, it was nice to see your face. Shannon, I hope to spend more time with you.
Ditto, Bobbie.
See you too.
I love you guys to pieces.
Bye, Bobbie.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. So I've gone through all of the questions that I have gotten today. Do either of you have anything else to add as far as this topic goes and how to be prepared?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I know that we had mentioned that we saw social media posts of people mentioning what's going on, right? And they're talking about it in groups. And one of the things that we need to do is we need to be able to identify whether they are complaints, like gripes, or a call for help and ask for help, right? So someone can get on and start off with being pissed off. Hey, I can't believe this is happening, and this is and this and that, and then it could also be someone asking, what are you guys doing to get around this, right? So it's important that when we see that, we don't jump to the conclusion of they're just bitching and moaning.
You're right.
Right. So if you see a post like that in a group, maybe it's helpful to ask, okay, well, yeah, it's a common problem. Everybody's having it. What are we doing to get around it? Now, if the person continues to double down and complain, then
you know what you got.
You know what you got. You're content to be pissed off, and you're looking for people to join the pity party. There are things that we're not going to be able to do as dealerships right now. Okay, and I mentioned it before. It's not a permanent problem. So why are you making a permanent solution? Right. So figure out what you have to do. Manage your customers' expectations. Be honest. I think we touched on that before too, is be honest. I don't have the ability to physically deliver the car, but we can do everything. I can calculate your lease for you. Because from where I am, I'm in an area of the country that has an extremely high concentration of leases for new cars relative to the sale of sale of new cars. Excuse me. Retail versus lease. Lease is anywhere from 60 to 80% of just about every dealer around me when you talk about new car sales. And so maybe it is good. Maybe some of these people need to know how to calculate a lease by hand so you can get that commitment And then when the switch does get flipped back and you are able to deliver the car, you're going to be jam-packed with deliveries. And again, plus the new business that's coming in. I mean, that's so much better than just sitting in neutral. Because if you're going to sit in neutral, do your owner a favor, shut the lights out and leave the building. Because the building costs money to be on. Mm-hmm. Turn the radio off, turn the air conditioner off, just make it a hot box. Right. Okay, everybody go home and let the building sit until such time that your systems can be turned back on. Meanwhile, the other people out there that are looking to solve the problem, they're the ones that are going to sell your customers for you. So
I agree.
You either eat or you starve. It's your choice. You know, and as far as the the hourly employees, like you said, like the prep guys or the lot porters, people get paid by the hour. It's a daunting task for the office, but somebody's got to know how to calculate payroll by hand. I mean, think about it. We're not that far removed from when dealers had to do that.
You're right.
So what are we talking? We're 30, 35, 40 years. Let's call it 50 years, where people used to calculate payroll with a calculator. And it took a long time, but it got done. People still got the paychecks.
Too. That adding machine was so inked as hell too.
So somebody needs to go on eBay and see if you can find those old lease calculator, payment calculator, the ones that who used to give them out? Oxford Resources, Bank of America. They used to, and when I got into finance, it was like they stopped giving them out like the year before I got into finance. I was so pissed. Because that was all I wanted. Growing up as a salesperson in the business,
self calculator.
I'm like, I want to become a finance manager so I can have that. I want that. And then all of a sudden, I become a finance calculator. I see these the reps for the banks, and I'm like, all right, where's the calculator? Oh, they don't give them out anymore. Really?
Right.
All right. So, but that's when, and it was a really, really smart desk manager that I worked with. He said, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for you to learn how to calculate a lease by hand. And what are you talking about? I have my Reynolds tower here. I could do it. He says, what happens if the lights go out? I never forgot that. That was 28 years ago. And I learned how to do it. And I still knew how to do it for the better part of the 90s. And then, like I said, admittedly, you use computers so much that you take for granted the fact that you have that machine. And I forgot how to do it. And this is just a gentle reminder that, the basics still work. The basics still matter. So what am I going to do? I'm in the next day or two. I'm going to figure out how to do it again. It's a good skill to have because, the worst thing you could do is be sitting in front of a customer and not have an answer or not be able to get an answer. So if you're a salesperson and you can't do it or you're not allowed to do it or whatever, then your sales manager should know it. Somebody should know how to do it. Somebody should know how to calculate a finance payment by hand, by using your calculator. Okay. The wheel shouldn't stop moving. You should still be able to do business, even if you're experiencing a temporary problem.
Right.
Business does not stop. And if it's going to stop you, if you're going to sit there and run in place, do your owner a favor, lock the doors, set the alarm, go home.
Right.
Go home. They don't need you to occupy the space there.
To do nothing.
Right. To do nothing. And then what? At the end of the day, oh, it was a rough day. Yeah, of course you're going to quit.
A rough day of doing nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We solve problems for a living. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. And in the process of solving problems, we sell a car, we fix a car, we clean a car, we solve problems for a living. This is just another problem to solve.
Yep.
Right.
So, opportunity.
I love that. And I just want to pick you. Do what, Shannon?
I was going to say, I have parting words for you too.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll say mine for last.
I just took this off my wall. Do you see what that says?
I love that. Hustle is my middle name.
I had a dear friend and coworker give this to me, and I'll always have it near me. And this whole session has reminded me, this is where the best of the best, and I hate to say it this way because it's so, against my gender, but it separates the men from the boys. And you find out really quickly on your team who's got this authentically and who's faking it authentically. And so we got to go back to basics. You can find the solution. You do not need permission to find the solution. Your dealer would be shocked to hell and back if you walked in with even the beginning stages of a plan.
Right.
Ask for permission to execute the plan instead of asking for, the solution from start to finish. You're closer to it most likely than the dealer is.
Right.
Well, I'll give you the new separates men from the boys. It separates the players from the spectators.
Yep.
You know, are you a player or are you a spectator? Very, very easy.
Yep.
Dave Anderson asked that question years ago. I remember reading the article on his website. And you know, spectators are the ones making things happen. Like you said, it separates the men from the boys. I agree 1,000%.
I love that. Well, and my parting words for everybody is kind of piggybacking off of something that Bobbie said earlier, as far as practicing kindness to your office department, your title department, all departments within the dealership. But I want to end this with saying, let's practice some kindness to E-Lead and CDK. I know that this sucks. I know that it's rough. Guys, this could have happened to anybody. And kindness goes a long way. It's not your account rep's fault. It's not. Chances are the person that your direct contact at E-Leads or CDK had nothing to do with it. Their hands are clean. There's nothing that they can do about this any more than you can. So just practice kindness, no matter how frustrated or irritated you may be at the situation. Let's remember not to point fingers and just to do our best to work together and get past this as a team.
I hope their internal conversations are similar in nature. Like,
I hope so too.
What can we learn from it? I'm sure that they are. I'm sure that that's the inner monologue. This is going to be tough. It's not going to fix itself right away, because we're going to feel the ramifications for this for several weeks. Things are going to be a little sloppy and unorganized for a little while. And we're going to need to probably be transparent with our customers for a little while. It's still kind of crazy here. We were down a week ago and we're still dealing with it. You can be human with these people, but it's not going to go away overnight. And so having that, hopefully from all the way through, it's that mantra of this too shall pass. What did we learn from it? You know, and there's tons of things we've discussed on this call today that we can learn from and implement.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for coming on and joining me today. I know this was super short notice. Shannon, you went and put your face on for me. I love it.
A reason to put lipstick on. Shoot.
Chris got my text. He immediately rushed home to hop on this call. So I definitely appreciate everybody coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
You are so, so welcome. I really do appreciate your time. Remember, when you go out into the world this week, remember to be kind, because you don't know what battles others are facing. So remember to light it up. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Yay, you've made it this far. And if you want to help the chicks out and add some value, make sure you subscribe right now.
Click that little red button down below. Do it. Do it now.